Okay, hello. I wanted to share quickly the first sports title that is going to be published under my game company, our game company, Dell and I's game company is coming out, and I'm hoping to have it out by the end of the week on Drive Through RPG. This is a project that well, had been put on the shelf a while back, and it's something I've always wanted to finish, but I wasn't doing it. I was making charts for Apple football. I was playing Apple football, doing other things with family, and so just had gotten away from, in a way, game design and really, I mean, outside of our game. For those who don't know, you know, a 4-year project that Dell and I started 4 years ago. We finished and published in January. You can purchase this book. This happens to be the Drive Through RPG glossy, uh, colorful premium game that we authored and designed. Great artists from all over the community as well. Just a 4-year dream come true. We finished this and we published this in January of this year, and it is available on Lulu as well as Drive to RPG in different ways. You can get it so that it fits all budgets. You can get the PDF only for $9. You can get the hardback for $30. You can get the softback for $20, whatever. So there's a different choice for all different price range for people who are interested in our role-playing game. Okay, but Candlelight Games is our game company, and this was the first thing published under that. And we actually published a free PDF of this game years ago under Candlelight Games. But obviously the goal was to get the book done, and it's taken us 4 years, and we did it, and it's amazing. And so I don't know how many of the people here that follow me on my sports channel are aware of that, but um, I'm not real good at pimping my own wares, so to speak. I love sharing sports games from the community, from other people, etc. And I like to share, what I do, but I don't really spend a lot of time talking about non-sports stuff here. But that's not what this video is about. It's about our game company, but I'm publishing our first sports simulation title under our game company, and it will be available on Drive Through RPG hopefully by the end of the week. It'll be a print and play. You'll download it and you can print it and play. I will be debuting it on the channel the next day or two. It is, for those who are curious, it's called Big Country Boxing. It is a it is a fictional career boxing world simulator. So it comes obviously with a boxing simulation chart. You create a boxer or stable of boxers. You can create an entire universe of boxers. It comes with one, well, I don't want to give it all away. It is inspired, it is greatly inspired by one of my favorite black and white boxing films of all time. It is inspired by that, and it is a kind of an homage to that boxing film. And for years, I've wanted to do it, and I just had not had the time. I just hadn't said I'm going to prioritize it. Well, this last 2 weeks, the situation that I was in, I had nothing to do but prioritize it. So I was able to complete it and play test it and work on it. And now, of course, I'm home and I'm typing it up and getting it ready to publish. So for those who are curious, that is what's up next, and I will be debuting that game. I can give you an idea of some playtest documents that I was able to do uh, over the last couple of weeks. Everything I do, I don't take a computer with me when I go places. I don't have a smartphone. Well, we have a phone that allows us to text. Uh, we own one phone. I own one phone. And that phone is really my wife's phone. Uh, I don't have a cell phone. I don't have a smartphone. Um, so we had a phone required for our work, our business, but it's really not, and it's the only phone we have, and it's the phone we we use for our business. But I don't have a personal phone. I don't have a landline. I'm not that guy. I'm not saying I'm proud of it, but I'm proud of it because I really am not connected to the world via phone at all. I'm connected to the world via my desktop, my old 10-year-old desktop computer. So when I'm gone, I can't communicate. I don't check email. So, a lot of times I just don't have a chance to check in and I had a lot of people, because I've been gone for 2 weeks. I had a lot of people write me emails privately. When I got home, I saw these emails asking if everything's still cool. It's so nice. There's a lot of people in the community. It's just so cool. They reach out and say, hope you're doing well. Hope everything's okay. I unfortunately can't check those until I get home on my computer to do it, which also means I can't, because I don't use a computer when I'm gone. Everything is paper. Of course, I always work in paper. I always use on a desk and a paper, and I do everything from a briefcase. My briefcase over there, I carry all my dice and pencils and paper, notebooks, and I create and I work on ideas, etc. And I write. And then when I get home to this monstrosity, this old computer desktop, that's when I type stuff up and try to make it professional and something you can share with the world. But anyway, I will go ahead and share the last play tests I did of Big Country Boxing, it's called. Again, I was inspired years ago by this film, a boxing film called The Setup. It's a black and white film made in 1949. It's one of my favorite boxing films of all time. It is a brilliant little film. But what inspired me in that film was the allusion to post-war World War II America, but they refer to you're in a fictional city, and they refer to fictional cities around them. They didn't want the viewer, they didn't want the audience to think, what is this, Cleveland? This isn't Cleveland. This isn't. So it's fictionalized, and it inspired me so much back in the day that I made a little football league based on those fictional teams that I played with them. God, my John M. Stater book. Where's my John M. Stater book? So pen and paper football, I carry with, it's in my briefcase. I carry pen and paper football with me everywhere because all I need is a D20 and I can play games of football in career leagues by John M. Stater. And I had made years ago, I had made a fictional, I think 6 or 18 league using these cities. So I always wanted to create a universe of sports games that were built around this idea of 1948, 49 America in this fictional region of cities. So I started working on these ideas of Big Country Boxing. And anyway, there it is. And it's a career simulator. You simulate, you can either manage a boxer or boxers, or you can play a boxer. The rules change based on whether you're playing a boxer or you're managing a boxer. You create a boxer, and then you set out to fight in the fight game based in this circuit style pro boxing of 1948 fictional state USA, right? Okay. So anyway, that's a little bit there. So I'll give you an idea. I had created, and this is just the latest, but this was the final play test that I knew everything was completely, the rules were done, all the tweaks were changed. It was ready to go. I just need to type it up, type in the description of the cities in the world just for, for guts and glory. And then my playtest results, notes, the things I wanted to change in the rules before I type it up. So I'll give you an idea. This is the latest boxer that I did a couple of days ago. His name is Leon Jessup. I made his boxer using my creation rules, of course. And I fought his first year and started his second year. So I'm trying to find all his fights here. So Big Country Boxing. So Jessup was created. Endurance, no follow-up, poor accuracy, but dynamic. Created this character. His first fight, his debut fight, was at home. His basic camp had no change, did not create any changes. So you create a boxer. Part of your creation of your boxer or boxers is you have to roll where they're from, their hometown. That impacts the quality of your boxer. Okay. That gives you an abstract. So every boxer in the game has one single abstract rating. This rating represents the fighter, their talent, their management, their coaches. So every boxer has a single rating. This rating is quite literally affected. It's a live rating. The rating is never stagnant. So the rating changes as you prepare for a fight, then the rating changes based on where you fight, and then the rating changes based on the results of the fight, and then we keep going, right? And your rating constantly will fluctuate up or down as your boxer tries to build a winning rating and to become a champion. Okay. All other boxers in the universe, their rating suffers from the results of the fights too. So the only boxers you worry about the effect of location or the effect of training is just your boxer. Wins and how you win and how you lose a fight affects all boxers, including your boxer, but it'll also affect who you beat or who beats you. So every boxer in the universe fluctuates based on fight results. So there are no static ratings that never that the ratings will always change for every boxer that you actually got. And you could fight every boxer you want. I mean, you can look at the charts and take those guys and have bouts with them, or you can leave them as they're only relevant to your boxer as he faces them. And then, of course, you can create boxers on the fly, and you can also create what are called out-of-towners. It's a long story. You have to get the rule book if you want to know. But here's an example. His debut fight against Thomas, a guy named Thomas from the debut fight chart. He is rated, my boxer went in after camp with a 255 plus value. So that means on the charts, my boxer's weighted higher and weighted to win this fight. So he's the overdog, so to speak. He's the favored fighter. The 4-round bouts, all starter fights are 4-round bouts and they're all in your hometown, so you don't pay any travel point fees. Anyway, one of the first round TKO. That means my fighter took, when you win by TKO, you get a certain bonus to your points. So bang, my fighter's up 35 points. That fighter, Thomas, dropped to 320. So Thomas is getting worse. My fighter is getting better. That was fight number one, a win. So I'm 1-0-0 with a 1 knockout. TKO is technically recorded as a knockout. So I have 1 win, 1 knockout. Fight number two, we had a good camp. This was a basic camp, so it doesn't cost me any points to actually go to camp, but it can cost me points in camp if something happens. So it's pretty simple. And I had a good camp, meaning I gained 25 points in camp. So my fighter came out of camp, and these are, you're allowed to fight 12 fights in a year. Every month is preparation. You can fight 12 fights in a year. However, if you get knocked out, you lose a month. So if I get knocked out, I go down, I can only fight 11 more fights or 10 more fights, whatever. Okay. And you can only retire the fighter at the end of his year. So if you choose to keep fighting with him, you got to keep fighting with him for a whole another year, right? So you can't just throw out a fighter or retire a fighter. You have to fight him to a complete year, a season's end. If you want to retire him, that's the case. Same as a manager. If you're managing boxers, you get 4 choices how you want to manage a boxer. So at the end of his year, I have 4 choices to do with that boxer. If I choose whatever I choose, that's permanent, right? Okay. So anyway, fight number 2, and again, this one I'm playing the boxer. So I'm Jessup, right? I'm playing the boxer. I'm not managing Jessup. I'm playing Jessup, which means I have to roll every chart randomly because my manager is automated. If I'm managing the boxer, I get to make some choices for the boxers. Okay, where we fight, who we fight. But if I'm playing the boxer, I have to roll those things. So it's a little more challenging, right? Because you can't control where I'm at. Now, the first 5 fights always happen in your hometown. Okay. So this is fight 2 of my hometown fights. I come out of camp, plus I'm at home, so I'm at 665. So I started at 605, won that first fight. Now I'm at 665 going into fight 2. So I'm already up 60 points from my debut. Okay. But we drew randomly Jawbreaker Jones. I'm giving away 85 points. So I'm at negative 85 on the fight chart, which means I'm the underdog, right? First round, 10-10. Second round, 10-10. Round 3, he wins 9-10. Round 4, 10-9. We come to points, and it tabulates out to 39-39. We both suffer point losses in a draw. So our record is a draw, but you actually suffer a point loss. And points, remember, is the grand total of the quality of your fighter in his. It's an abstract idea of your fighter. So it's not just his talent, it's his training, it's his staff, but it's also his reputation. So a draw is kind of a more of a reputation effect upon your whole crew, right? But that -5 also comes off of Jawbreaker Jones. So he drops down to 745. So it's adversely affected both of our fighters. Okay. Fight number 3, again, we're at home, basic camp. We didn't get any bonuses or negatives. We are at home, so we got +5. So we're back up to 665 for fight number 3. This time we draw Glenn Floyd. He is the worst fighter on the boards at 225. We have a +440 advantage on Glenn Floyd. And I rolled 1, and he beat me by TKO in the first round. So Jessup, who's riding high. All right, we're 1-0-1. And then the worst fighter I can draw, I rolled a 1, and that is, or 2, it was a TKO. He wins by TKO. So we're down 30 points in the TKO loss. We're at 635, and he goes up to 255. So the worst boxer in the game, still the worst boxer on the charts. Not in the game, but on the charts. Because you can have out-of-towners and wage fights that could be worse. Anyway, Glenn Floyd gets a victory. Okay. I'm keeping a record for my boxers, and I keep a record of all the fights that I play test. So his record is 6-9-3 with 1 knockout. This happens to be it, TKO. So not all of the boxers have a record because I haven't fought every boxer that I created for the game, nor are there records in the game. So when you get the game, you can create as many fighters as you want, boxers as you want, as many weight classes as you want, as fast as you want, or you can take your time to create them methodically. But you're going to have to generate records by boxing. I'm not going to give them a pretense of records because it just wouldn't be cool. But you can assume the champion is probably 20-0 or 25-0 or something. And there is a contenders list with the champion. Okay, so that was fight number 3. No, Jawbreaker Jones was fight 3. Fight 4, we lost to Glenn Floyd, the worst fighter in my hometown. And remember, your hometown affects your base probability that you're going to be a good boxer, right? So let's put it this way. If you're from the big city, you might have a better chance of being the guy with it's a larger pool of human beings to draw from that might be champions. If you're from Union City, for instance, it's going to be the worst possible because you're coming from a smaller pool of boxers who don't. The lifestyle in that town is not conducive to creating a champion easily. Doesn't mean you can't create a champion from Unionville, but all the cities will give your boxer a bonus or either a plus or a minus. So when you create your boxer, you roll randomly where your hometown is. Okay. Fight number 4, we faced Ty Williams. This we drew again and he's one of the better first 5 hometown fighters. Basic, no charge. So our camp again, we don't pay anything in points to do basic camp, but it's harder to get a bonus or a negative, and so we don't get a bonus here. However, I get hometown +5, so I'm at 640 for this fight. He's at 560, so I'm going into this fight with a +80 on the columns advantage, and we win this fight with a KO in the round 4. Remember, these are 4-round bouts. It was tied 10-10. Then it was 10-10. So round 3, we're going into round 3 in a 4-round bout. He wins that round. Going into round 4, he could potentially, depending on what happens in round 4, this could have been another draw or we could have lost by points. Well, fortunately, Jessup KO'd Ty Williams in the 4th. And so we got a 50-point victory. And that 50 points immediately is, again, awarded to my fighter's rating. So my fighter's up to 690, and we are now 2-1-1 with 2 knockouts. Ty Williams drops to 5-2 with 5 knockouts. Again, these numbers were generated in play tests. So, all right. I just hated to not count their fights. Okay, so I counted them, but again, I didn't put them in the game. These guys will not show a record in the charts. Fight number 5. These are our first 5. Have to be from the starter. I won't say they're not amateur fights, but these would be the fillers to find out if you want to keep fighting with this guy before that first year. So year 1, again, you have to complete a year before you're allowed to retire a fighter. But when you create a fighter, you get 5 fights, and you can decide at the end of those 5 whether you want to continue with him or not, right? Okay. So you can kind of skirt that rule by going after 5, dumping the guy, right? Okay. So we're going into our 5th fight. Post-training, we got good training again, +25, plus at home. So we're at 720 to face Greg Dzinski, 825. So we're -105 against Dzinski. And we lose this on points. He wins this fight on points. So that's not a severe a negative for us. But again, we do lose 15 points in that. And we are now 2-2-1. We're at 715 in points. Dazinski goes up 15 points. He's at 840, and he's 12-0 with 4 knockouts. So Dazinski, in my testing universe here, is undefeated. Pretty cool on the starter charts, right? And these all of these starter chart records that I'm telling you come from me making boxers that I play tested. All right, Leon Jessup at 2-2-1 with 2 KOs at 705 rating is going into fight number 6. At home, basic camp, we didn't get any bonus. So we're going to go into this fight at 710. And we win this fight on KO in the third. Again, another 4-round fight against Mort McCann. We had a bonus of 195 on this fighter. And we get a KO victory and 50 points. Jessup is now 3-2-1 with 3 KOs. I'm at 760 in the ratings as a rating. Mort McCann is 9-6-2. And he drops to 465 for his rating. And he, again, stays on the starter charts. Fight number 7 of the first 10. Again, you can tell that at 5, I decided to keep fighting this guy at 2-2. At home 5, again, no change in camp. We're at 765. We're facing now a main event. So I rolled on the chart for hometown. Remember, we're no longer on the starter fights now. We're in my hometown charts. So let me give you an idea. So every city has its circuit of boxers. To travel costs you points. So you don't want to travel really willy-nilly unless you're now looking to, broaden your horizons. But you're allowed to box at home for 5 points. The problem is you're stuck in that window of boxers. However, you can at any time create an out-of-towner and take a main event fight. Or you can do what's called a wage fight. And a wage fight means you can gamble your own boxer's points on the outcome of the fight. So I have your basic career charts and all your circuit fights. So imagine these guys are boxers that are traveling around a region of states or a region in a state, and they travel on the bus or on the railroad, and they have a hometown where they have a locker room and they have other hometown fighters that they all know, and they might fight, but mostly don't. As other boxers come into town on Friday or Saturday nights, it's fight night. There's a card, the lightweight, a middleweight, a heavyweight. And this is the world you're living in 1948, post-World War II America, small town boxer, trying big country, small town. And so this is how the game functions. So you have choices as a manager exactly where you want to fight and who you want to put on the bill for your guy, right? So it gives you a lot of control over making sure you match them up against that hometown or that region's worst boxers and really pad their record, okay? But if you're a boxer, you have to roll randomly, so you don't know who you're going to get. Well, this fight 6 is in my hometown, so I get the +5 hometown, but I roll, and I landed Mort McCann, who is what's called, not Mort McCann, Tommy the Kid Harris. And Tommy the Kid Harris is a main event fight. What's good about a main event fight is both boxers will get a +15 bonus regardless of whether you win or lose. So you can mitigate a loss, but if you win, you're going to get a bonus because it's a main event fight, so it's more of a reputation thing. But more importantly, they do too. But also the main event fight are automatically longer rounds. So depending on what city you're in, when you draw a main event fight, you may go from a 10-round bout to a 12-round bout, or from an 8-round bout to a 10-round bout. Okay, so it's a longer fight. This is an 8-round main event fight, and we won it on points. I automatically get the point value win, plus I got the +15 main event win. So my character saw a 30-point gain. I come out of this fight at 795, and now I'm 4-2-1 with 3 knockouts. And of course, Tommy the Kid Harris drops in points. He drops 30 points due to the loss, and to 620, and that's that, right? So after fight 7, I'm 4-2-1 with 3 KOs at a 795 rated fighter, and I've just reduced the kid to 620 points, and that was a hometown fight. All of these fights are going to be in the hometown. I wasn't ready to risk the biscuit and travel yet. Okay, that's fight 7. Where's fight 8? Fight 8, I can get 2 fights on a notebook paper. Fight number 8, hometown +5. My training camp was no game. but I'm at 800 points now. This is fight 8. We're facing Simon Jackson, who's one of the higher rated hometown fighters. He is 725. And well, he beat me in a TKO in round 1. So another situation where first round TKO'd me. Now, I don't identify whether that's points or knockdowns or cuts or swelling. Doesn't matter. It's a TKO loss first round for me. We can assume, since I actually had a plus 75 advantage, that I'm going to assume something crazy happened, like we bashed heads. I ended up with something so bad, or Jessup ended up with such a bad head wound from maybe clashing heads that they stopped the fight. And instead of calling it a no contest, there is no contest in my game. I rolled the TKO. That's what it is. So, but maybe Simon Jackson came out and dropped me. I got up, he dropped me again. Got up, he dropped me a third time. Whatever. Right? Remember, it's 1948, so the TKO. It was pretty brutal, right? TKOs weren't as easy to come by. But again, I'm not going to account for the TKO is a smaller margin on my charts than a KO or just a beating, right? Okay. Anyway, the point is we lost the fight. We're 4-3-1. Jackson goes up to 770. I drop down to 7, or Jessup drops down to 785, and that is fight 8. Fight 9. I have yet to be KO'd, so I can get 12 fights in a year, 1 fight a month if I don't get KO'd. Okay. Fight number 9, we're at home. Again, we had a good camp, +3, so we're already up 30 points. We're at 815 before we go into this fight. And we lost by KO in the 4th to Frank Lodehouse. Again, we outrated this guy by 313 points, but he dropped us in the final round. We're down 50 points for that. We're 4-4-1 now. We're down 765. We're down to 765. And Frank Lodehouse jumps up to 550, and he is 11-4-7-2. So he's 11-7 with 2 draws and 4 KOs. Frank Lodehouse has not been the best playtest opponent, but he wasted me in the 4th round here. So I lose a fight month, which means I can only have now maximum of 11 fights in this first year. Where is fight number 10? I got these out of order somehow. I shuffle them around looking at them. Oh, there it is, 10. So fight number 10, and then I have, unless I'm knocked out in this one, which I'm not. So fight number 10, again, hometown, so +5, but our basic training accounted for nothing. We're at 770 going into a fight against a 475 rated Steve Krasinski. And we have a +295, and we lost on TKO in round 1 again. So I have had 3 first-round TKO losses with Jessup. That tells me he's a bleeder, right? I get this feeling that I've got, I get the feeling that this boxer Jessup bleeds really easy. And once they bash him or cut him, they come out and, these guys weren't the classiest fighters. They might give a little elbow. You come out and you clinch and you maybe hit him with an elbow, draw blood, and if you can pop that open, and by the time I'm blinded by blood, they stop the fight. So this will be the 3rd TKO lost in the first round for this young fighter. I'm thinking my fighter's got a bleeding problem, right? No, this Jessup kid. So Jessup now, again, TKO does not count against the knockout month. So I only lost 1 fight this year on a KO, right? As far as actually losing a fight for the year 1. So that means, again, the 11th fight will end my first year. Fort Jefferson, our training goes horrendously bad. So we're traveling to Fort Jefferson. I went ahead and rolled the travel chart. We ended up traveling to Fort Jefferson. Oh no, this is Simon Jackson. I forgot about this. So I had rolled a rematch with Simon Jefferson, and then I said, well, let's have this be and I just decided, normally, this is outside the rules, but I said, let's just roll to see where this rematch is at. And it was at Fort Jefferson, and I ended up with a -25 for travel. But then I also had a bad camp, -50. So I went into this fight down 50 points. So my boxer is already down to 720 going into this fight. However, Simon Jackson's at 770. And remember, you don't modify them by camp or travel. Their rating is what it is. Their rating only changes based on whether they win or lose. So Simon Jackson, I'm actually at a -50 for this fight. And in the 3rd round of a 10-round main event fight, I defeated him in TKO. So year 1 ends with Jessup 5-5-1 with 4 KOs. And that's year 1 over. And I go into year 2 with, let's see here, 700 and what am I at? 725. I go into year 2. Oh, no, this was a wager fight. Okay, that's why I'm at Fort Jefferson. All right, let me take this back. I should have wrote that down here, wager fight. When I saw the bonus, I realized it was a wager fight. So what a wager fight is you can choose to fight outside the normal circuit fights, it becomes a single fight card event. But you have to roll what city you fight in. If you're lucky, you'll get to fight in your hometown. If not, you got to pay the travel fee and go to that city. That's why Fort Jefferson. And you in a wager fight, you're supposed to pick an independent boxer or roll up a brand new boxer. So you can take an independent who's not on the circuit charts. That these would be boxers who travel independently and they're not on the normal 10-man charts. Or you can on the fly create an instant boxer, or you can create using the boxer creation an opponent. Okay, well, I decided to just take Simon Jackson, who had defeated me earlier, and we ended up doing a wager fight. So wager fight is I have to gamble a percentage. I have to gamble a part of my body. So on top of everything, I gamble body. So if I lost this fight, I would have lost the points I gambled plus the actual fight. If I win it, I get the extra bonus plus the fight winnings. So I did, and that's how my character gained 80 points in this fight. So it's big risk, big reward, right? Because I mean, I would have taken an 80-point loss on this. I wagered 50 of my body and it was the final fight of the year. So I thought, I don't know if I'm going to keep this guy. So I thought, what the hell, I'm going to do a wager fight. And if I lose it and it really kind of buries him at 4, 6, and 1, I might just retire him. But I won it. And then that inspired me to go on to year 2, fight number 12. At home, again, basic camp. I didn't gain anything in camp. I'm at 805 going into this. I'm fighting Tommy the Kid Harris, a rematch. This is a main event fight, and it goes 8 rounds. However, I rolled a 98 in the 8th round, and I won by KO. Bam. So I get the 50 plus 15 for the main event. He gets a minus of only, because he gets his plus 15, but he also loses that 50. So it's what, minus 35. So he loses 35 to his value. I'm up to 870. I'm 6-5-1. Jessup is 6-5-1 with 5 knockouts now. I'm an 870 fighter. He's at 585. And now we're in fight number 13. And again, I'm staying at home. I'm not yet getting on railroads or buses to travel much, except for the Fort Jefferson fight, which we won. Anyway, fight number 13 at home, basic condition. I ended up having a good camp, so I got plus 25. So I go into this fight at 900. So my fighter started his career at 605, and in 12 fights, I'm up, before the 13th fight, I'm up to 900 points pre-fight. I have a 485 advantage on this one, and I dropped my enemy, Lenny Borden, in round 1. He's a 415. So I had almost a 500-point advantage, and I dropped him easy in round 1. I'm now 7-5-1 with 6 KOs. So I've won almost all of my fights by KO. And Lenny Borden drops to 365. So he was not a very good fighter. Again, this was a chart roll, right? Remember, if you're being the boxer, if you're playing a boxer, you have to roll the charts because you don't manage your fighter, okay? You have some choices like whether I want to be at home or not, right? So I can choose not to be at home, and I can choose not to risk points on a bigger camp, right? So you have 3 camp choices: a basic camp, a serious camp, or a substantial camp. They all cost, the basic costs you no rating points to risk training. Serious costs you points to do, but you can also lose more points or gain more points. And of course, substantial camp, that would be like a full month of training or 2 months or whatever you want to call it. It costs you a lot just to do that camp, but then you could have you could get a big reward in that camp, or you could suffer a pretty serious injury or something. Okay, so it's pretty simple that way. And you technically don't have that choice. There's a dice 6 roll for those camps. In playtesting, was choosing basic camp. But technically, if you are the boxer, you have to roll what camp your manager's putting you into for a fight. So I could be at 575, and I'm up against a hometown schlub, and my manager put me into a substantial camp, which would cost me 75 points. My body would be down to my rating would be down to 500 before I even roll the camp charts. So it can be risky to put me into a substantial camp, okay? But if I roll a certain number on that chart, I come out of that camp in the best shape of my life, right? Okay. So anyway, fight 13. We win by KO in the first, and where we were up by 500. We had 500 some odd, 485-point advantage on this guy, and we dropped him. And that was where I stopped that particular playtest. I had somewhere to go or something to do. So that was the beginning of year two. 2 fights into year two. I've got 10 fights left. You have to fight 12 unless you get knocked out. Then you only have 11 left. You get knocked out. If you're knocked out 4 times in a 12-fight window, you must retire your boxer. So if your boxer suffers 4 KOs in a 12-month window, they must retire, right? At wherever they're at. So if I'm managing a boxer or a stable of boxers, I can choose where they're coming from. I mean, what city we're going to go to and who I'm going to fight on those charts. I can choose what camp: base camp, series camp, substantial camp. If I'm the boxer, I have to roll all those things. So that's how the game works. So every boxer in the universe has a single abstract rating that represents everything about that fighter, up and down. You can fight. You can actually, if you want to, because the fight, you roll 1 time per round, and that just tells you who wins a round. So the fights are very fast. I make 1 roll for round 1, check the results. Then I roll for round 2, round 3, round 4. Super simple, pretty dynamic chart. There's 121 outcomes on the chart. So the fights, I mean, a 15-round bout is 15 rolls, right? I mean, we're knocking out the fight like that. Okay. So it's a quick, I won't say, it's not an instant result boxing game because you do fight every round, but it's an instant result per round, right? Okay. What else? That's it. So anyway, I have got to sit down and type it all up, proofread it. I have to get the chart into the books. The chart I'm using was on graph paper. I had to draw it up on graph paper. The good thing about doing this, and I do this all by hand, so even my APA, original APA Express charts, originally graph paper, right? And I could just erase and change data. Harder to do with those longer 36-point entries. So this chart was on graph paper. I don't have the chart. It's in my briefcase, right? But I thought I would get this out, so I wanted to talk about this and share the results of the final play test before I decided to type it up. So the game, of course, we'll have the actual boxing charts, all the cities, the boxers that are in those circuits. Then, of course, you can make as many boxers or weight classes, wherever you want. The game assumes it's middleweight, but you can pretend the game's all heavyweights. That they aren't called heavyweights, so you can just make all the boxers into a heavyweight if you want to play heavyweights, and then make lightweights, middleweights, whatever you want to do. And again, you can make a boxer instantly, or you can walk every boxer you want to put in your universe through the boxer creation, which takes just a little longer. It's 4 or 5 rolls, right? Because you have to roll up. Every boxer has what they're known for, and then their actual boxing skills, then their punching ability, and then their style. And you roll randomly to create a boxer on those 4 things. Then you have to roll their hometown, where they're from, and that positively or negatively impacts the quality of the pool of human beings that might have come out of that city. Okay, that's also your hometown every time you roll on the chart. So, for instance, this boxer, I happened to roll Unionville, so he was rated poorly, but he also had the luxury of the worst talent around him. So my hometown fodder was easier for him to face, even though I took a 75-point hit to be from here. But if I was from the Mecca, Central City, I would have got a big bonus. But all the guys on the Mecca City, on the Central City boxing Mecca charts, well, they're a hell of a lot tougher. So a tough hometown. Now, you're free to travel. Remember, your first 5 fights are ultimately against starters. You don't face those guys in your first 5. But after those first 5 fights, you're going to face your hometown fighters unless you choose to travel. And again, if you choose to travel, you take a rating hit, but you could find boxers. You could go to Unionville to sculpt your fighter. Like I could travel to Unionville every fight and take on that circuit of losers, get my ratings up. But there's a price for that. I have to pay to travel out of my rating, right? So my rating suffers, but I also have a better chance of facing worse fighters and have a better chance of getting wins. And then, right, and then boom, boom. And then, of course, there's other methods. You can do what are called out-of-towners, and you can also do wager fights. So you can also expedite your fighters' speed of growth through wager fights, right? Because I'm risking a portion of my actual rating. If I win, I get that plus the wins. If I lose that plus the loss. So it could destroy your boxer in a couple of failed wager fights, but it could really improve your boxers over the course of time. And of course, the better your boxer gets, the more it's. Let's put it this way: I'm getting up. I think my boxer's at 900 and something now, right? Leon, I don't know what I just said. Leon Jessup, I think it's 905. This is the perfect time to wager fight with him because most likely the boxer that I roll up or create, or I can take out of the stable of boxers that exist as independents. So before I start a career, I could roll up 50 fighters that are just non-associated. And then I could look at that stable of fighters and say, I want to do a wager fight against that guy, as long as he is within 50 points of my fighter. So you can't pick a 200 rated fighter. You have to pick a boxer within 50 points of you either way. So a wager fight, he's going to be 850 or he's going to be 950. He's going to be anywhere between 850 and 950. I'm at 905, so he'll be 855 or he can be at 955. But it has to be a boxer in that window to make the wager fight a gamble or risk. But when you risk it and you win it, it could be a fat bonus. So there's all these different phases, and you can create boxers literally in a roll of the dice. And you can give them a name. You're just going to have to compile records if you want to. And I suggest in the book, you don't even need to keep records. Their rating, in a way, is their record. I keep records for my boxer. I like to know whether my boxer is 21 and 6 and 4 or whatever. But when I fight them, I keep the records, but I'm not going to randomly create records for them. I'm only going to give them the record they earn, if that makes sense. Okay. So anyway, I want to share this. It's been a long video. I didn't mean it to go on this long, but so I have been away for 2 weeks. It's allowed me to get stuff done that I would not have gotten done here at home. And that's good. And including a boxing game that I had on the shelf for a long time, and I thought I'm going to take this with me. I'm going to work on it, and it's come out. It is better than my wildest dreams. I would argue I've got a couple of games that of my own, right? If I'm going to just boast about myself a minute, my Flash racing game is probably my favorite game that I've designed. Flash football because it's football and because it's the sentimental favorite. It's the first game I ever designed. So I've got a sentimental favorite in Flash football. But Flash racing is probably my favorite game that I've designed. And this, over the course of the last 2 weeks, and playing and writing and play testing, this has quickly become, I think, the best sports title I've ever made. It's not the best game I've ever made because there is no doubt the work we did to write a role playing Dark Age of Man, the work I did to write this, and the work we did to get the artists, the work we did to create the engine, because again, all games are math engines, and you need to know what you're trying to achieve, and you have to play test that math, and you have to understand how that math is affected by long-term play and things like that. And this is the best product I have ever been a part of. And I've ever made. But I think my best sports game is yet to be released, and that's Big Country Boxing. So anyway, I hope everybody out there is doing well. I hope everybody's loving their tabletop sports hobby. I hope everybody's loving their whatever, their life, their everything. And I will be actually on here in a day or two playing my boxing game, sharing the boxing game. I will probably be on playing a little football too. So everybody else, have a great week.